I know it is. It's like riding a bike.
Good evening, everyone. 1 minute, please.
Okay. It's his other home.
Good evening, everyone. This is the regular meeting of the Grand Traverse County Public Health and Safety Committee for the month of March. We'll start by rising for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jackie, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Maxbauer?
Here.
Lathrop?
Yes.
Propa? Excused. Johnson?
Here.
Crawford?
Here.
Klaus?
Here.
Chairman Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am. The next order of business will be the approval of the minutes of the February 4th regular session of Public Health and Safety. I'll entertain a motion.
I would move to approve the minutes of the February 4th, 2015 Public Health and Safety meeting.
Motion by Maxbauer, supported by Lathrop. Is there further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. This brings us to the first opportunity for public comment. There's also a scheduled section of public comment later in the evening, and we will take public comment during the course of discussion of any agenda item. Jackie, if you'll read the rules, please.
Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners which is required to be open to the public under the provision of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. Any person wishing to address the board shall state his or her name and address. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions, if any. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. The chairperson may, at his or her discretion, extend the amount of time any person is allowed to speak. Public comment will be solicited during the 2 public comment periods noted in Rule 5.4 Order of Business. However, public comment will generally be received at any time during the meeting regarding a specific topic currently under discussion by the board. Members of the public wishing to comment should raise their hand or pass a note to the clerk in order to be recognized and shall not address the board until called upon by the chairperson.
Having heard the rules for public comment, is there anyone wishing to make comment at this time? Seeing none, we'll move forward with the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions?
I have an addition, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman. I would like to add, under unfinished business, the special Board of Commissioners implementation team meeting of March 12th for discussion.
Okay. Is there any other items? David, do you have anything?
I do not.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to accept the agenda as amended with the addition of the March
Mr.
12th
Chair.
IT meeting.
I would like to remove an item if I can.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to remove item 9E, the proposed interlocal agreement for supplemental law enforcement services, so that we can get the townships and villages back in here.
I'll support the motion.
We have a motion made, and well, truly, I don't know that we need a motion to
Remove that.
remove an item from the agenda. Do we, Chris, your recommendation?
You know, it's either way. It's either do a motion or not. You're not out of order either way. If you just want to remove it by unanimous consent, which it sounds like you have.
Unanimous or 2/3?
You know, let me just double check on the rule.
I guess I'm for discussion purposes, we have a motion and a second, so Motion by Johnson, supported by Max Bauer.
Thank you.
The discussion purposes is why do we not want to undertake this discussion, which is part of the administrator's, part of the agenda this
We are,
evening?
right now, we're waiting on, and Mr. Lyle can probably speak on that too, but they're waiting on the townships and villages. I think they're waiting on 2 of them right now. So they haven't contacted you, so there's been some lack of communication back and forth, I think, there, so. But they are working on that proposal to bring to you, then to bring to us. So I don't see why we need to take action on this right now if, hopefully by the end of the month, they'll be coming to Mr. Benda with the other proposal, so.
I guess my thought would be why we would not take the information as part of the administrator's report tonight as it's on the agenda and was published. You know, we don't have to take action on that information, but I believe we should hear the administrator out, but it's up to everyone else, depending on how we vote on the
And I don't think this is anything different than,
David, do
and what we've
you
had
have any
before, is it?
comment in this regard?
Well, the Commissioner Klaus, Commissioner Johnson, and Commissioner Max Bauer all attended the meeting that I called with the townships, but the other commissioners had not heard that. I think Commissioner Croker was there.
Shouldn't have been.
No, she was not.
Should not have been 4 of them there.
Only 3 of
At
us.
any rate, they've seen the whole package, but I wanted to make sure that the board saw the whole package. It's in,
because I didn't think that was
packages
the
in your
package.
agenda, and you're all, you know,
Yeah, I didn't,
accomplished what I intended to accomplish.
okay, and I didn't think that was the numbers according to what they were working on anyway, so.
All right,
My proposal's in there.
Yes, I know yours is. So,
all right. Any further discussion? I'm gonna call for a roll call vote, please, Jackie.
Sure. Commissioner Lathrop?
This is to take it off the agenda, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Klaus?
No.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Chairman Wheelock?
No. Motion carries. We will remove item under the administrative report as in 9E. Yes, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Motion by Johnson, supported by Lathrop. Further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. This would bring us to the consent calendar, if you would, please, Jackie.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted, receive and file or approval, is approved by a single committee action adopted in the consent calendar. A, receive and file. 1, Commission on Aging monthly report for January and non-action items. 2, Community Collaborative Report, monthly update for February. 3, Community Corrections Report, January. B, approval, Celtic Shuttle and Tours Contract, Senior Center Network Mystery Trip.
Having heard the consent calendar, is there any item that anyone in the audience wishes to have removed? Seeing none, is there any item that commissioners wish to have removed? I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Support.
Motion by Lathrop, supported by Max Bauer to approve the consent calendar as provided. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. We have no special orders of business. We have 2 items removed, or we have no items removed from the consent calendar. This would bring us to department action items. First up is the Commission on Aging, Department Spotlight for in-home services.
Thank you very much. My name is Laura Green. I am the Deputy Director for the Commission on Aging in Home Services, and thank you for this opportunity to share with you a more in-depth look at what we do and how we serve the community. The In-Home Services Department, part of the Commission of Aging, was established 40 years ago. This is a big milestone for us. We are going to be celebrating that milestone in June of this year, specifically June 9th, here in the Governmental Center from 2 to 4 in the cafeteria. And we will be extending invitations to everyone here and hope everyone will join us for that. The mission of in-home services is to offer home and community-based services to maintain and improve the quality of life for resident senior citizens. The benefit of that is to enable our senior citizens to remain living independently in their homes for as long as possible. That is to assist family and friends in caring for them and so that they can enjoy remaining in their homes. Yep. Oh, Lori is manning the PowerPoint. So if I look like this.
I got a hunch both of you are in trouble if Lori's you're talking.
As far as eligibility, in order to receive services from in-home services, you need to be a Grand Traverse County resident, obviously, 60 years of age or more, and have a demonstrated need for assistance. In 2014, we served 1,715 residents of Grand Traverse County. And that totaled 53,000 hours of direct service to those residents. I also would like to point out that in working with the residents and with the clients that we work at, it's really a continuum of care. And what I mean by that is frequently we will start with a client or one or two clients in a home. We may start with one program, such as Home Shore. They may need the lawn cut or the snow removed from, obviously, this time of year. And then as they age and things change, we're there to help them with additional services. And then they will add homemaker aid, and then they will add home health care. So we become a part of the family, we become a part of that progression. And so our association with the community and with these families and these clients can go on quite a while, 5, 10, 15 years. So it's something that we take very seriously, and we enjoy, and we have wonderful staff that supports us in that. As far as funding, we are funded by a half mills approved by taxpayers in 2010. It is due to expire next year in 2016. We will be on the primary ballot, which is March 8th of next year, for renewal, and we will be joining. Oh, we hope. Never mind.
No. I'm over here going like that.
Oh, never mind. Okay. Sometime in 2016. We hope. Okay. Also, other funding we receive are through private donations and memorials, endowment funds, local grants, and then fees. The fees that we receive from our clients are based on the sliding fee scale that's based on the client's income. I'm going to step back a moment to the memorial piece. In front of you, you will find two pieces, an envelope called A Gift of Hope. We redesigned this. We had an envelope that was quite dated, so we went back to redesign this with our logo and to update it to be a positive message that would be available to those that wish to support what we do, both with the Senior Center Network as well as the in-home services. We also designed a memorial donation flyer right here that is also available into clients' folders. The reason why we did this, and you'll hear about this or heard about this, I believe, in this packet and previously, as I just mentioned, a lot of our staffs become members of the family, and they're mentioned in the obituaries of our clients when they do pass on. And then memorial donations are then made, and we've been fortunate to be the recipients of those donations. So in talking to the field staff, they felt that it was important to make available to our families the opportunity to say thank you. So in listening to them, that was the result of that were these two items. So we wanted to bring those to your attention. Also, on the sliding fee scale, I wanted to point out that the client income situation, we assess, you moved me already. She's quick on the button. We do assess our clients if they are in our Homemaker Aid and our Home Shore Home Shore program once a year, and if they're in our Home Health Care or Foot Care program once every 6 months. And I point that out because situations change. So we are looking at whether their income has changed, and we're staying current on what's going on in their families and making sure that sliding fee scale is appropriate based on their situation at the time. This is our current board of directors. As all of you know, it's a volunteer board of directors that you kindly appoint. In the picture, our chair is Rodetta Harand. Am I saying that correct? Aaron. Sandra Bush, Bill Rokos, Shirley Zarafa, Commissioner Christine Maxbauer, Corey Hansen, who's here tonight in the audience. Wave. Carl Casera, Harry Libzit, Michelle Mercer, Kara Sullivan, and David Taylor. So we'd like to thank them for all their service and all that they do for us as well. Our next slide. This is our staff. We are very fortunate to have a very dedicated team, and this photo is actually of our entire team, meaning we have members from the Senior Center in this photo. This was taken the day of the Martin Luther King training when we did our training program at the Senior Center here in Traverse City. And breaking that down a little bit further, we have 13 staff members in our Homemaker Aid program, 10 in our Home Health Care, 6 in our Home Chore, and 9 members of our Front Street staff who are present. And in the middle, just to round us out, you'll see Michelle Moore, one of our Michelle Mercer, one of our board members, yes. Next slide, we'll show you our loan closet. We have a loan closet where we have obviously equipment that's available to families in the event they are needing a wheelchair, any type of assistive equipment. They can come, and we have it at a sliding fee scale to make it affordable. And sometimes in the community, we are the last place or the best place for them to go. And Clara's Cupboard, this is provided to us by a local church, that they come and restock these items, and then our staff can go in and take those items if they feel a client needs for anything from beauty products to other items. From toilet paper, sometimes we have towels, linens, pillows, things that you wouldn't necessarily think of. We see a need for in the home because they just need to be replaced. I should also mention that with the loan closet, we had 188 rentals in 2014. So with our PERS, our personal emergency response system, our PERS units, we have a contract with Guardian, and 675 clients were served in 2014. We make available 500 units at a time. This is a very popular program, and all 500 units are in use. So this is quite popular with our clients. The File of Life, when we go out and do our assessments and our enrollment assessments, of which I did 2 myself this week, the File of Life, we make sure that all of our clients have one of these available and it's up to date. And the reason being is that in the event there's a 911 call, the emergency responders are trained to look for this, to look for the File of Life on the refrigerator, and we make sure that it's up to date. It needs to be up to date with both emergency contacts as well as the current medication list. And in the event that it's not, we make sure that it is up to date, or we direct to the client that in the event there's a daughter or a responsible party who normally updates it, to please have that done. And then share with our clients, with our staff to follow up to make sure that that happens. As you can see, over 10,000 of those, well, 15,000, you did update that. Distributed countywide. And this actually is a great complement to our other programs like Code Red, and then the 911 program that's available. So it's many ways of trying to keep our seniors safe. Information and assistance, like with any organization in this county, these are our friendly faces when you walk through the door. Teresa Redmond's to the left and Laura Plamondon's to the right. They are our clerks. As I tell them, they run us. They are so important in that they answer the phone, they are our door, our entryway. We're very fortunate to have both of them. And our next photo, you'll be seeing one of our homemaker aides. With our homemaker aides and with any of our staff that's actually in the field, we do a full background check, and they are also fingerprinted through the sheriff's office. That's important to us to make sure that everything is checked out, and also important to the families. As far as the homemaker aid, the services that they provide is house cleaning. And we used to use the term house cleaning. I don't believe that's correct anymore. It really is heavy house cleaning. They are doing laundry, they are scrubbing floors, they are changing linens, dishes, bathrooms, doing inside windows. So it really is very heavy work. We served 876 clients in 2014, which represented 15,648 units. Now we're going to move to home chore, and of course this weather has kept our team busy. With our home chore team, right now, obviously we've been busy with snow removal. With our snow removal program, I know Christine likes the change that we've made. We did make a big change this past season. When I first joined the team, I sat down to learn about what we had been doing, to get an idea of what we should do. And in learning about how the snow removal program worked, the way that it had been done previously, after trying certain programs and approaches, was that certain days were scheduled for certain areas of the county, regardless of what was happening with the weather. So in meeting with the private sector, the staff and I got together, the private sector, we talked to the home shore team themselves, listened to what the staff felt would work. And what we came up with was an approach where we are now dealing with the actual snow event. Meaning, when the snow falls, that's when they're out on the road, when they should be removing the snow. So if they need to be out at 5 a.m. starting for snow removal and work through until it's gone, that's what they're going to do, versus being out Tuesday at Long Lake when there isn't any snow. It's just much more logical to respond to the snow event, and that's the way the private sector does it. Additionally, we've created a dedicated snow line. It's actually a dedicated extension, so when our clients call, they still hear a friendly voice. The clerks still answer the phone, because with our clients, that's important to them. They don't want to hear an automated press 1, 2, or 3. So they still hear our warm, welcoming voices, and then they're transferred to the snow removal line, and then we share with them where exactly our snow removal team is for that day, and that's updated every single morning. It's been so successful, we're going to continue it year-round. We're going to do it with lawn mowing, also leaf removal, which is another service that we provide, the lawn maintenance, and then they also do windows, outside window cleaning in fall and in the spring. The home chore team served 869 clients for 8,803 units last year. Our home health care team, all of our home health care staff are certified nursing assistants, so they have to continue that certification in order to be a part of our team. What they do is critically important in that they monitor health status. They take vital signs of our clients. There's a log that remains in a binder that stays in the client's home that's from the Commission on Aging, where that's tracked, so that we have a record of what we've seen. We can watch patterns. We check blood sugar levels. We basically monitor, obviously, their health status. And then we also assist with the activities of daily living while they're there, whether it's bathing, feeding, whatever the case may be. So there were 169 clients served last year with 6,873 units. Respite care. I consider this caring for the caregiver. As all of us know, it's very difficult, challenging, and stressful for those that care for our loved ones. It can be exhausting. It's a labor of love, but it can take a big price. So what we offer is respite care. And we go in for 4 hours that enables that caregiver to take a break, whether they need to get groceries or run errands or whatever the case may be. And then our staff member that is there remaining with that client, can do meal prep, lighthouse cleaning, some of the home care activities. So they're busy with that client while that caregiver's out doing whatever he or she needs to do to recharge their batteries. Our foot care program, this is Nancy. She is an RN. She works, obviously, with going and working with clients with foot care, which is a very popular and needed program. And that includes with soaking the feet, the foot exam, the massage, taking care of the nails. And there were 294 clients and served, and 769 units last year. And she's doing a great job. Oh, I don't know, we only do one home, yes. She's an LPN. Georgia says she's an LPN. Okay, support services. Support services are also greatly sought and greatly needed by our clients. We provide beta bus passes, and all of these are beta passes and transportation vouchers are done on that sliding fee scale to make them more affordable. Last year, the beta bus passes, we sold 249. On transportation vouchers, we provided 366 coupons, which was 100 more than in 2013. And I suspect in 2015, we'll see even more sold, because in this type of weather, it is obviously they are seeking a safe form of transportation. So public transportation, whether it's by the beta or by the buses, is the best way for some of our clients to travel. Heating assistance last year, we had 14 recipients with over $7,000 in heating assistance. Our income tax assistance program was 315 individuals in 2014. This year, we're providing a location as well as Lori Wells with the Senior Center there in Traverse City. So between the two sites, I'm sure that we'll be providing more tax services that will be increasing, and it's a very popular program. Our AARP Safe Driving class, we had 87 attendees last year. And with our fee assistance program, we provided fee assistance to 390 clients last year, that basically helped the cost of their fees to receive services from us. Community support, I touched on the importance of the fact that as an organization, we do work with other organizations in the community to support the elderly in our community. It's not just Commission on Aging in-home services. We work closely with Meals on Wheels. We work closely with the Area Agency on Aging. We're a provider for them for respite services. We refer clients to senior companions. We all cross-refer. We work with APS if needed, so it's important that we are all part of a network that truly cares and comes together in the community to take care of our loved ones. And that is the next slide, is a community that cares. And our baskets of bounty, everyone heard about that for the Christmas season repeatedly. We delivered 112 baskets of bounty. What this translates into, for those that are new, is 3 bags, grocery bags, that were decorated by the Girl Scouts. And in those were items, it was food, it was clothing, small clothing items, dish soap, personal, anything that we thought would be festive and fun. And then the individuals who were on that list were suggested by staff, and they were people who we felt would be alone for the holiday, friends and family were far away, but really need that extra spirit, that extra touch to make Christmas special that maybe they would not have had at Christmas. And for our staff, I think one staff member said to me it was hard for them when they go in our client's home and there's not one decoration, not one thing for the holiday. So that's when we said, okay, we're not just going to give cans and new washcloths. We're going to put in something, Christmas cards and festive things, and just brighten up their day. Haggerty Insurance gave us 69 bags for Valentine's Day, and they stuffed them full, and it was really, really wonderful. You can see the photo up there and brought them in, and our staff identified, again, 69 individuals they thought would be touched and make their day by receiving Valentine's delivery. And those were delivered by our staff to 69 people who had big smiles when they got those. And then we do the Senior Expo. We have a booth there at the VASA event. We are at the county fair for Fair Day. And then, of course, for the NMC barbecue, we deliver meals every year. And last year, we delivered 359 home-delivered meals, and we use a network of volunteers for that. And that event pulls in volunteers from all over the county of all ages. That's really a fun, family-driven event where the family comes together to do all of that. And I've done a lot of talking. Ladies, would you like to add anything? No?
all true.
You work for the government?
It's all true, everything she said.
Any questions?
And
Because
do
I
any
did try to
commissioners have questions?
put a lot in a short period. That was a Cliff Note version, believe it or not.
Chris?
I was going to save this for my committee report, but I may as well do it now since it's on Commission on Aging. At our Tuesday Commission on Aging board meeting, we voted to recommend to the county board that we have one millage ballot proposal on next year's ballot. We are requesting a joint meeting with the county board to discuss the county board's preference and the Commission on Aging board's recommendation. So I was going to do that during my committee report, but as long as Lori and Laura and Georgia are here and Commissioner Hanson, I'm mentioning it now.
Okay. Dan?
Will this be a increase on what you're already getting, or
No.
replacement?
This will be a request, the board recommended a renewal.
Renewal.
A renewal.
Cool, all right, thank you.
Okay. Further questions? Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Moving forward, Veterans Affairs. Good evening, Chuck.
Good evening, Chuck Lurchin, Director of the Veterans Affairs Office. With me in the audience tonight is Jim Wagner. He's the chairman of the appointed Veterans Affairs Administrative Committee. In your packet tonight, we're seeking approval of really two items, but they are joined hand in hand. In January, when our new commissioners met briefly with our department, I forgot which commissioner it was, but they said, are we getting any support from the state for our operation? And of course, the answer has always been no. However, the state has been getting into the veteran services game for about the last year and a half. And they have been making some grants for operations available to all the counties. And we had put in for one of those service grants, service enhancement grants, actually, back in September, October. And before you tonight, we did receive one of those grants. It's a small one-time grant. It's approximately $15,000, which is not bad. It has to be used to enhance and improve the delivery of veteran services within the county. So we are seeking approval for acceptance of that grant. And going hand in hand with that, our proposal that we gave to the state and what the Veterans Committee would like to do is a staffing plan amendment, which would allow us to delete a clerical position and put a service provision position in place in the form of an assistant case manager.
Questions for Chuck? Dan?
Is there a match required from the county?
No, there's no match.
And this change that you're going to make, if you don't get the grant next year, will the position still have to be funded?
Well, that was something that we went over with Dave with. The $15,000 grant will cover the difference in the existing pay scale in the enhanced position for about 39 or 40 months. So about a little less than 3.5 years. I don't know what will be happening in that period of time, but this will cover the cost of that for that period of time. we take a look at our staffing needs every budget year, every year. So we will be going back and taking a look at it. I don't know if more grants will be available. We'd like to see a continuous stream of state funding to all the counties to help with their veteran services. So we don't know. This will cover it for about 39 or 40 months.
And also, I think at least the last 2 years, and you can probably fill in more, but they've come in at like 97% of your budget anyway. So they've been under budget for a while when the year-end totals. So, and we can always try to put the screws to the MVA, the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency, in 3 years and see if we can get another grant. So, I mean, they do wonderful work down there, and sometimes that's the first line of defense for some of these veterans as we get more and more of the Gulf War veterans coming in, you know, especially with some of the issues that are popping up now, PTSD and TBI. That's the place to go for a lot of veterans. So I recommend this.
Further comments? Chuck, I do know, one thing that I wanted to mention, you talked about service of veterans to the county. We should note that we actually provide veteran services for 3 counties.
Correct.
Leelanau and Benzie. Leelanau for a long time, and Benzie
Yes.
was at it, what, about a year and a half ago?
It's going on 3 years.
So, see, that tells you how old I get. you
Yes,
know, but-
yes.
But, you know, I've heard absolutely nothing but good things
Good.
from veterans that I know in Benzie and Leelanau County, or the services you guys are providing for them, and they certainly do appreciate that, so.
Mr. Chairman?
Do I have a motion to accept? Dan?
Yeah, I make that motion that we do accept that grant and make that staffing plan
Should we do those two
for
motions?
the Veterans Department. That's fine.
Okay. All right, we have a motion by Lathrop. Do we have support?
Support.
Support by Crawford to accept the Veterans Grant in the amount of $15,000 and to make a staffing plan amendment which will eliminate 1 full-time employee office specialist and add 1 full-time employee assistant veterans case manager. Do we have a definition in our staffing plan for an assistant case manager?
Yes, we already have one.
Okay, we have one now. Okay, good. All right, any further questions?
I just wanted to clarify something. It says in here effective immediately. Did you want the motion to reflect that?
Yeah.
Okay.
For immediate effect? Okay, then we'll need a roll call vote, please, Jack.
See here, Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Klaus?
Yes.
Maxbauer?
Yes.
Lathrop?
Yeah.
Chairman Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am. Motion goes.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
Chuck.
much. It's going to be a tremendous help to us. Thank you.
And
Thank
we,
you, Chuck.
again, we do appreciate the services that you are providing. Health Department. See Wendy was hiding back in the corner.
That was me.
Good evening. I'm here to present an opportunity for you as a board, I guess. It's a Board of Health training series that was developed by the Michigan Public Health Training Center. And I'm not sure if you all actually know, especially the new commissioners, that in our county, you also serve as the Board of Health. So this is the public health. Our committee, your committee that I'm presenting at tonight is essentially the Board of Health. In many communities that don't have a single county health department, or even in other states, I came from Illinois, and our local health department there, the Board of Health is a separate entity, which has policy and sort of advisory purposes, and then the county board, their main role was to set the funding, not line item budget, but just the overall funding amount. So here it's one and the same. There I actually had 11-member Board of Health and a 26-member county board. So having 7 of you to kind of keep informed is actually very nice. I think it's more efficient. So the opportunity is to participate. It's a pilot training program, and they offered it to They're offering it in Ohio and Michigan, and they chose the Northern Michigan Public Health Alliance health departments. That's something that our county has been a part of for the past 2-3 years. We developed this alliance. We're not a region, but together we sort of make up a region. And so they thought it was a good opportunity. You would be the only one of those 7 health departments that has the county board as the Board of Health. So they would very much like your input into the training and the process. Essentially, it's a 7-module series. It's 10 to 15 minutes long, and there's additional clips and other things you can dive into if it's an area you're particularly interested in. It's to orient new board members and also existing members who might not be aware of or just need a refresher. And really would help you in helping us advocate at the state level with politicians and just understanding there's a lot of complexities with public health, so just kind of understanding all that we do in the community. After the pilot expires and they get the information, they're actually going to go national with it, but they'll be charging, I believe, $400 for the training. The different modules are essentially public health primers, how to operate as a Board of Health, how to finance public health, how that all works, contributing to the health equity and what that means, community partnerships to improve health outcomes, and then helping to support population health, which is public health through policy and advocacy. So I'm basically here tonight to find out, number one, whether or not you're interested, because I need to get an answer back to them. And then number two, if you are, which I'm hoping you say yes, how we would go about doing that. Some are doing it in their monthly meetings, but they're not televised meetings like this. They're usually just kind of small, less attended meetings. Another option would be to, if we were to host 1 or 2 meetings at the health department, we could show, say, 4 of the sessions one time, 3 another. That way you would all come, but would take coordination of your schedules. And the other would be if you chose to view them independently. The goal, we actually need to have them all done by August. So we would need to do probably 2 modules in 1 month and then 1 module a month after that, or we could space it every 3 weeks. I can work with Chris Kramer if that's the route you're interested in. You need to do a pre-test to kind of see your knowledge. We won't know who answered what, so we won't know how you individually did. We'll just kind of know as a group. And then there'd be evaluations after each module. They'll share the results with us and they can de-identify. So again, your comments or your individual testing levels won't be shown. And then at the end, if you chose, you could participate in a focus group to help them improve the process. So that's essentially what the training is, and I just need to know your wishes on this.
Comments or questions? Carol?
Yes.
So we're guinea pigs. we're
My tail's not that long.
no, they want us to try it out and give our opinions on it. And get training in the process.
I probably wouldn't say guinea pigs because I think it's probably a pretty well-established
I'm sure
training,
it is.
but yeah.
But that's why we are getting it for free.
Yes.
It's because they would like our feedback on the actual training.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess my comment would be less that we're guinea pigs in that we are being selected because of our superior program.
Intellect?
Either way.
I didn't say intellect, no. I'm not going to push it that far. But the fact is, Grand Traverse County's Health Department has been recognized throughout the state and throughout the Midwest for many, many years for their efficiency and the quality of care they're providing. And this is kind of to designate that you're doing it right. We want to take your feedback so as maybe we can help other people do it right also.
We are entering our Cycle 6 accreditation. We will be evaluated this summer. This would help with that to show that you are engaged as a board and that you are interested in helping with some of the core things of assessment, policy development, and assurance. So,
Dan?
Would this involve all the board members? Okay, and how much time do you think it would take in hours to do this?
in hours. Well,
Per member.
The modules are about 15 minutes, and then there would be some level of assessment. So you probably could budget half an hour to 45 minutes per month. And then when I'm at the public health meetings, if you had specific questions about, we could have some conversation.
And we can do this on our home computers, or?
You can do it on your home computers. I'm looking into the iPad issue. Because there is a plug-in that you need to view the videos. So
Doesn't work on the iPad.
if it doesn't work on the iPad, then we may have to go to either, we could have you check out a laptop from us, or we could do sessions, or have it available so you could come and view it. Ideally, probably, I'm guessing for you, would be viewing them independently.
Bob, you got a question?
Yeah, no, I support it. I was just gonna see for me, it would work better to do it independently, but I could see value of us getting together for maybe a couple of the modules if you think they're worth us getting together for the discussion, but it's difficult to get us all together schedule-wise as it is.
So true.
But I definitely support this.
Dan?
Would this be something we do every year, or just this one time?
This would be a one-time, but I can do a refresher annually, if that's needed.
I certainly respect all of our schedules, because I know what mine's like. But I wonder if there would not be an advantage to try to do it as a group. Do it at the health department, where you've got the people involved that, that can help you work through it. And I'm sure there's a lot of questions that, may come up during this discussion that, at least myself, I probably don't know the right answers to. It might be good to have the resources available immediately to enhance the module as you receive the information. Wendy or their staff could immediately tell us how that applies in our community.
Wouldn't that be the same as cheating?
They said there was no scores to
okay.
involved, so there's no. But I guess the point is, as I think there's a benefit to doing this as a group and doing it in our health department facility with our health department people to help us to enhance in our minds exactly how it applies to our community, and how it applies to our community, I think, is important when we talk about how successful the program is as they go out and train it to other people. Chris?
I'm supportive of this. I would like the opportunity to schedule a time at the health department, but I'm guessing that Dr. Lathrop probably doesn't need that. And in fact, he probably, because he's a doctor and knows a lot about health, a lot more than I do. But I am supportive of this.
And the other thing I was going to suggest is, we could even get together for those that wanted to meet as a group, and then those that wanted to work independent, you could also,
So, Wendy, if I understand this right, you're saying we're probably looking at 2 one-hour meetings to complete these 7 modules?
That might be a little ambitious, maybe hour and a half. I think we could probably get it.
But
2
2 hour and a half meetings, we could complete the process.
Depends how many questions you have, in all honesty.
Remember, there's no stupid questions.
Maybe 3 hours with this group. And because we'd have so many great examples of our actual public health in action to share with you. But I think it'd be a really good opportunity for you to kind of meet some of the directors and hear more about the programs and how they operate.
Yeah, I think it'd be a perfect opportunity to talk about how the programs as is outlined as far as what is public health, how it applies to our community. David, you wanted to add
I think
something?
that kind of answered the question I was going to ask, because I've worked with boards of health, and I've also worked in this kind of environment, and I think in both cases, there isn't a lot of that direct interaction with the staff, either with the county commission and the staff of the health department, or in a board of health that deals with nothing but public health issues.
Yeah, and frequently, Board of Health members, they're appointed, so a lot of times they're on for 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
And they're physicians and dentists and teachers, and they kind of have there's requirements in different states about the makeup, but they're on there long enough where they're exposed to all the different we have issues in public health that, I might see once in my career, and you might hear about, and then never again, so.
Oh, in Michigan, though,
We are the Board of
they're
Health,
not
aren't we?
composed
Yes.
like that.
We are.
They're pretty much
Right.
county commissioners from 3 counties or 5 counties or 10 counties. And they all come together once every quarter or once a month or whenever they meet. And they don't really know what's going on. The director tells them what she needs or he needs, and, they kind of function in the dark, pretty much. Because they don't, as a multi-jurisdictional board, they don't have those, constant interactions on these issues, so.
Wendy, what was the time frame to have this completed? I know by August.
I
but-
think by the end of August.
Yeah.
I guess, my suggestion would be that we try to compile a schedule, if you will, of how we would break it out and try to assess how much time is going to be involved. And then let's try to put together a 2 or 3 meeting schedule by which we could do that, whether it be evenings or a Saturday afternoon or something, so we can get this thing finished. Don't look at me when I said Saturday afternoon, Carol. But the point is, I really think there's a lot of benefit for us to completing this, but I do believe it's much more successful if we do it as a group.
Okay.
What-
I'll work on that with Chris Kramer.
What scares me is this is going to be a slippery slope, that pretty soon the sheriff's going to want us to do the same thing, we're going to have a special program, and,
Oh, he's got a special program for you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Eyeballing
It's right in the
already.
center of his belt in the back.
This is actually part of your obligations per state statute and the public health code, so it's not just an extra thing, it's
I support it, I'm just kidding.
I know.
Okay.
We can't have fun,
If you will work with Chris and try to put together a schedule, and then we'll try to work it into our schedules.
Okay,
Thank you, Wendy.
thanks.
Thank you, Wendy.
The next order of business would be the Freedom of Information Act Coordinator from the Sheriff's Office. I believe the Undersheriff is handling this one. Seems how we got the trio in the audience. I'm not sure who's doing what part.
Good evening, Under Sheriff Nate Elger. I'm here tonight to talk to you about an opportunity for the creation of a new position, that being a FOIA coordinator. We have done this several times historically, either through budget requests or actual presentations to the board since 1997. In 1997, this board, by rule, made the Prosecuting Attorney's Office the FOIA coordinator. That did not abrogate the Sheriff's Office from our responsibilities to FOIA. In fact, we've handled almost 50,000 of them since then. The process for FOIA is sometimes very simple and very easy, and sometimes it's very complex, depending on the record requested. If we have a record, somebody has already requested it. Whether it's a police report, accident report, audio tape, videotape, daily activity report, CAD report, whatever it may be, it's been requested. And depending on what is requested, who is requesting, the status of the case, each and every one of those FOIA requests is processed through our Detective Bureau and our investigative clerical assistants. The investigative clerical assistant's job is to type reports and assist the Investigative Services Division to close out criminal complaints. Not to process FOIAs. It's something they do, but it certainly is not supposed to be a primary obligation. And right now, a significant period of time between the two clerks, Captain Fulis and I, is being spent in the processing of FOIA. So I think this is the third time we have come to the board asking for a designated FOIA coordinator, either through the county or through the Sheriff's Department. If you are not familiar with FOIA, it's a wonderful piece of legislation. It allows, it's supposed to be for transparency of government, and we all support that. It has turned into something quite different, and we are unfortunately at the pointy end of that spear. Mr. Forsyth and Mr. Cooney are great to work with. They jump at every request we have, and they work with us through the requests we have, but we are at the pointy end of the spear with FOIA. Over 3,000 a year, and as I said earlier, they vary in complexities. So once a FOIA comes in, just so you understand, the clerks have to touch that document and receive it. They have to log it. Then Captain Fulis or I have to review the request to see which part of our department is going to handle the request, whether it's going to be the administration, the jail, the road patrol, the investigative services division, who's going to handle it, and even if we have the record. Once it is determined that a record exists, they have to photocopy the record so we can start to make redactions of exempted material. That specific topic has been a discussion that we have had for hours and hours between the prosecuting attorney's office, the city police, and the sheriff's department about our obligation to exempt material and redact material out of police reports, or any record for that matter. There are different interpretations of FOIA. We've been sued because of our interpretation of FOIA. We've lost that lawsuit because of our interpretation of FOIA.
We've also won a few.
We've won a few, but we've lost one as well. It's not a comfortable feeling. I like to be 100%. So it's not necessarily an easy thing to manage through. We do a pretty good job of it. We handle 3,000 a year, but we are not able to have our clerks do what they're supposed to be doing because of the obligations through FOIA. Captain Fulis came into my office this morning and said that Jane Marsh, who's one of our investigative clerk assistants, is sitting behind a stack of SORs, sex offender registrations, that high. Well, she can't do those because we're processing FOIAs. So, as I mentioned in my brief, if you call it a brief, we have, through a series of events, identified a staff member that we can use for FOIA. Deb Fountain is our current account clerk specialist whose primary responsibilities has been foreclosure sales, managing inmate accounts, managing billings from the jail, things of that nature. Late last year, we transitioned some of those obligations to the corrections division, and they're going to handle inmate accounts exclusively. So that frees Deb's time up a little bit. And through Human Resources, we have looked at possible classifications, and we believe that we can change that classification description from an account clerk specialist to a FOIA coordinator for about $4,500. And we would like to do that. That would eliminate numerous people touching the FOIAs. When you have numerous people touching FOIAs, you have numerous people's opinions about what the law says. You have numerous people opining on what goes out and what does not go out, and it is not consistent. So we want to have as little number, the least number of people touching those FOIAs as possible. I spoke with Mr. Cooney and Mr. Forsyth about this, and their sentiment to me has been if it removes the overwhelming obligation from the captain and I to review these FOIAs and redact the exempted material, they will support it. There are always going to be instances where we are going to have to rely on the prosecutor, or we're going to have to rely on the expertise of Captain Fulis, and look at those FOIAs to determine if it's a privacy exemption or some other applicable statute that needs to have some information redacted. Those things are always going to be there, but for the bulk of this, Ms. Fountain can do this with some training and some guidance from us. So we are here tonight to request that. I understand there's some discussion about it, but we believe it's valuable. We believe that it's a very plausible solution, and it's extremely low cost at this point.
Comments, questions? You know, this dates back to 1997 when former prosecutor Denny LaBelle was going to handle all of the FOIA requests.
Well, that's what he said at a meeting.
What's that?
That's what he said at a meeting.
Yeah, I know. I remember hearing the discussion. But that being said, I think then the backpedaling started not too long after that, and you know, he wasn't dealing with accident reports and requests from insurance companies on accident reports and all the different things that came with it. Extensive discussion has been had over the years about what can be redacted and what can't, you know, and all of those kind of things. I think the consistency that we would gain with one person handling them in one fashion would be highly beneficial. And obviously, I'm sure that the captain and you both have other things that you would like to be spending your time on rather than reading 5-year-old police reports and trying to remember whose name I get to take out, and was this a minor at the time that I can't release that name, and all of those kind of things. So I certainly would support this. You know, from my perspective, I'd be hard pressed to ask if you have identified a funding source for the $4,500 within your budget.
Yes, within our budget. We never use our budget completely, and I'm assuming Mr. Bach could give you a better idea as to what we turn back, but I think 96 to 97% expended annually, and I would like to recommend that we use that kind of concept to fund this position.
Chris, did you want to add anything?
No, I mean, I did talk to the undersheriff as well as Captain Felis, and yeah, this is something we do support because it does take valuable time away from the Detective Bureau. And Captain Felis and I, we talk quite frequently about FOIA requests and what can be exempted, what can't. And so we do get a lot of questions from the Sheriff's Department.
Yeah, I like to be a numbers guy, so I looked at your numbers, and I mean, that average is over 224 a month, which, I mean, I can't even imagine not having anyone dedicated not to do that yet, you know, because of the seriousness of it. You have a certain time frame to respond and do everything else, and some areas of government it's easier to send out the request than in law enforcement. So will the proposed change with the city record keeping do anything towards alleviating any of this cost then, or?
The only thing that the proposed change in the city contract would impact is the amount that the city pays for their processing of FOIA.
Okay.
Right now, the numbers I presented to you are county and city FOIAs combined. Our records division processes both. That would not change. Just the cost associated to processing of city FOIA would change.
And this person, if you dedicated this person solely to this, it wouldn't take away from any of the other entries that have to be done with the sex offender, or any other entries administratively that have to be done. Is that correct?
It wouldn't take away from them, but it would allow 75% more time for those two investigative clerks to do those things.
Okay. Yep.
Dan?
So when I first read this, I thought that you would be asking for an extra $4,000 in addition to what your budget is, but you're not doing that.
What I am suggesting is that the Sheriff's Department underspends annually, and I believe that the funding for this position would be recognized, or could be easily recognized in those savings. We don't have $4,000 to say this position is going to receive this amount of money. It could very well, through efficiencies of the FOIA charges and revenues, could pay for the job in and of itself, but I can't tell you that today.
So
I'm sorry.
So it isn't in your budget?
The increase is not budgeted. No, it is not.
Okay. One of the things I think about, today I had a meeting in my office, and I've had several this last few months, and what the government's requiring of us is getting more and more and more complex, and my staff has to change and grow, and we have to trade jobs and figure out how to do it, and I don't get an extra $4,000. And you have a big staff, and you have a complex staff. So I realize that this has to be done, but I wonder why it can't be done within your existing budget.
It is going to be done within our existing budget. I'm not requesting additional budget funds, but I can't tell you that we're going to use the savings, so to speak, from the overall department budget. We're never fully expended.
Well, one of the things that Mr. Bendis says is that, and I agree with him, a one-time expense, but you create a whole new position and now it goes on forever, what's that going to cost us down the road? Does anyone have an idea?
Correct.
$4,400, that's what it'll cost you.
David?
Okay, so I had a conversation with the sheriff. Sheriff doesn't want to bring this up. But FOIA is being done primarily within the records division right now. Correct?
Through the clerks, yes.
The clerks. We have a contract with the city for records. They pay currently 17% of that cost, approximately. You're talking about taking a position from administration and moving it to records, in my opinion. You are alleviating the workload that is built up in records, right?
Correct.
So we move the position from admin into records. 17% of it is reimbursed. There's your $4,400. And it won't cost the general fund any additional dollars.
Are you in favor of it or no?
I'm in favor of the position for a different reason, because I believe they need a FOIA coordinator. It makes good sense to manage it, and it's the sheriff's decision to make that. He's looked at his organization and said, I think I need a FOIA coordinator. I'm going to take this administrative position that used to do this. I'm going to move that work over there, and I'm going to do this because it makes more sense to run my operation that way. And it's not my job or your job to tell the sheriff how to run his operation.
Okay.
That's why I'm in favor of it. And I think the $4,400 can be found. I think we can still talk about how we do that, but even without taking money out of salary attrition, which is used in our fund balance for the general fund, that $680,000 we've got in the fund balance for the general fund, that's the money he's talking about. Because we're expecting to save that money in expenses from attrition. So he's kind of he's using fund balance in essence. So, but I think that because it's alleviating the workload in records, it is a legitimate cost of the records division. It may, it's not what they do in there, but you're basically you're taking the workload of records and moving it into this position.
Some of it, yes.
Part of it.
Part of it.
And they're currently paying for that, so they shouldn't, if you need an additional person in records and the city is getting the benefit of that as well, then they've agreed to pay 17% of the cost of records.
The city is not getting a benefit. I've talked to the city police department. They do not want to have any part of this FOIA coordinator position. They have their own set of rules, their own set of guidelines, their own set of attorneys that guide them in the processing of FOIA. That is why we believe it is not to be in the records division, is to be in the sheriff's department's administration, because the city doesn't want to take any part in it. They already pay for their processing of FOIA, and then Captain Ailing and Captain O'Brien and the city attorney handles the review and redaction of those items.
So you have individuals carved out in the records division that strictly deal with the city and not with the county.
No, that is not correct.
So you have people who do just FOIA for the city and just FOIAs for the county.
Again, that is not correct.
Okay, what's correct?
I'm not getting it either.
The records division handles all the processing, the acceptance of all FOIAs.
Okay.
The different administrations review the FOIAs. The administrations, they're not paid for through the records department.
So you're saying this is the administrative piece of
Certainly
FOIA.
part of it. The big piece of it is what we're trying to get around is the captain's and I's review of these FOIAs, the processing of them, the handling of them. We want to take the county's records staff's obligation and remove that from our clerks, which is 75% of the FOIAs received. I approached the city police. They do not want any part of this at this current time. They may. And if they do engage with us, we have talked about a possible funding source for that, in and outside of records. But right now, they don't want any piece of it. So our position is that it should not be in records, because they are already paying for that service. And they can handle their own redactions and their own review. We want the obligation to be outside of our two clerks.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Dan?
Forgive me, I have the greatest respect for you guys and gals in that department, but we're not changing any number of people, same number, we're not hiring a new person. No one's getting trained differently, but it costs us $4,000 more to get the job done. I don't get that. Is it just a job upgrade because of HR?
No, sir. They will be required to go through FOIA training. they'll have additional responsibilities and additional liability that they will have to, that they're going to encounter on a daily basis. They will have to have additional training and continued training.
Are there fines involved if this process doesn't?
Yes.
I mean, what's the fine? I know they're pretty hefty, aren't
You
they?
mean fines is if a FOIA request is improperly
Yeah.
exempted or, yeah, there are fines in that regard. And in fact, there's legislation that will take effect in July that will make the fines even worse, even more of a penalty. And we are going to present to the board, probably in May, a countywide FOIA policy because we're mandated to do that under the new law. So FOIA moving forward, it's going to get more complex. It's going to get more involved, and there's going to be more penalty provisions involved if governmental agencies aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing.
And just one mistake would probably pay for that for a couple of years, that extra $4,000.
Well,
I do think it's in our best interest to have one person be the coordinator for all of this, rather than have, I mean, if you have the captain and yourself, he might think one thing needs to be redacted and you perceive it differently. You should never have too many hands on something that is that important. Even, I work in accounting, you shouldn't have too many hands in the books. The books really should be one person with their hands on it, so that if anything happens, you know that that person handled that and no one else. So you'll have one person to talk to about it and one person who knows, the expert in it, rather than, well, I don't know, I'm not sure, you know, I think it's this way. It's in our best interest to avoid penalties and to do it properly, to have just one person know exactly how this works.
Chris, do you want to add something?
I did have a question. And I did have, just so you know, I had a conversation with the sheriff today and told him I don't support this. That's not to say that I would never support this, or my mind can't be changed. My question is, we charge for FOIAs, do we not?
yes, we do.
Now, if we have a FOIA coordinator, will that charge be adjusted based upon that FOIA coordinator's wage?
Well, what the law says is the charge has to be based on the lowest paid employee who's capable to perform the work. So it's really going to depend on the department, on the circumstances. And come July 1st, when the new law takes effect, we're going to have that really defined, really broken out, and really laid out for the public as to what we will charge and how we are charging.
When I spoke about the efficiencies of the FOIA coordinator being an unknown, right now, any number of clerks can handle an accident report and process that through FOIA. 2 clerks in the DB will handle any other FOIA. The captain, myself, will review those FOIAs. What I'm saying about the efficiency of it is now that we have one person, that person can log her activity, and I believe that we'll have a better understanding and probable increase in revenue from the FOIA capture. Right now, depending on who's processing the FOIA, the captain or I may just say, oh, just give it to him. It's easier just to give it to him than to charge him for it. There's just too many hands touching those items for us to really accurately do anything.
Dan?
There's a lot of departments, and all of them can be FOIA'd. Am I correct?
Yeah,
So
except for the judiciary. You can't FOIA the district courts. And
they get out of everything, those guys. But that's my point, is that, is this a slippery slope? I mean, there are other big departments that can all be FOIA'd. Do they?
Not as much as the sheriff.
Yeah,
I'm going to say probably 85% of the
Right.
FOIA requests we get are tied to the sheriff's
If-
department. 85 to 90%.
If you look at our office and we do the review for mostly everybody else, I mean, we're averaging maybe a dozen a month. I mean, they're averaging three times, 10 times more than that. I mean, it's their volume is just, it's just huge.
So you handle the FOIAs for the other departments, is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
Dean, did you want to speak to the
Yeah, just,
financing?
there's no doubt in my mind that the sheriff's office can, within the budget that you've already set for them, they'll be able to cover that cost. But looking back at the revenue over the last few years, the FOIA reimbursements, the charges for services and sheriff admin have actually decreased because of what Nate, the undersheriff, just said. I think you spend so much time on these requests, and based on all the people that are involved, you simply stop keeping track of the time. With one person, I believe, and we'll be able to track it, this is all accounted for in one revenue line item. You'll know as soon as you implement it if you're increasing your revenues or not, and that's one thing we can, check on or report back on. But I think that's the charge that you ask the undersheriff and the sheriff, and this position, if you do approve it, is, hey, we want to go after and recover every dollar that we can, and you will be able to do that much better when you have one person that's their sole responsibility, and it's.
And on a side note, the July 1st Act that Mr. Forsyth is referring to mandates that we publicize our fee structure, what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And when you have 12 people that are touching these items, there are going to be errors made. And I'm concerned about us being held to task at a greater scale because of the July 1st statute.
Dan?
Won't this publication have to be the same countywide? Or
Statewide.
do they have a different charge than, let's say, the health department?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's things we're just gonna have to work through. With the new legislation, there's some unknowns out there that we're just gonna have to look at and figure out. And we're starting that process, and like I said, hopefully in May, we'll have a countywide policy that we can bring to this board.
Well, I think what I'm hearing is that this position will give us absolute documentation of what it costs us to process a FOIA request received by the Sheriff's Department. We talk about wanting numbers and wanting data. Here's our way to get it. We can absolutely track what it costs us to provide a FOIA or to receive a FOIA request, process it, and respond to the applicant. And we have never had that in any of our departments, and particularly the Sheriff's Department, because of the way it's handled through the Records Division. And, I'm assuming that Records Division is still going to receive the request?
It depends on the request. If it's a simple accident or insurance request, yes, they will. But Ms. Fountain will be responsible to oversee all of those processes and the releases of that information. And going backwards to the discussion about the city, I've already spoken with Captain Ailing about removing the responsibilities of FOIA from all of records because of the impact on their ability to type police reports. So he was not comfortable when I spoke to him about this several months ago, saying we're on board, but he did want to have this conversation later on yet this year, and possibly paying outside of the records arrangement for that position.
Any further questions? I would entertain a motion to approve the Sheriff's Department's request to create the FOIA coordinator's position. Do I receive a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Johnson. Do we have support?
Second.
Supported by Crawford. Further discussion? Chris?
Mr. Forsyth, do you recommend this?
Yes, yeah, both, Mr. Cooney and I, we spoke to the undersheriff, we spoke to Captain Felix. To me, having the Detective Bureau focus on police investigations versus spending their time reviewing FOIAs, it just makes sense.
Well, congratulations, my mind got changed.
That's twice?
It happens.
The other thing I'll add is, I mean, this is a serious, the FOIA request is serious.
It is,
So
yes.
I think the added salary for a person that's going to have that responsibility is warranted.
Well, there's, and again, I guess what I'm hearing is we're not charging for all the FOIAs that we ought to be charging for, and,
Or charging properly.
Yeah.
or charging properly. And that's really the important thing, is that we charge properly.
Yes. And actually, the most important thing is that we release what we are supposed to release and not release what we're not supposed to release. And that becomes extremely difficult when you're dealing with specifically privacy concerns
Oh, yeah.
and how a victim feels once you release their name as being a victim of some crime, or a suspect being named a suspect when he's not a suspect. Those little intricacies can get you jammed up. And we spend hours and hours answering angry questions about why did you do this? Well, we read the statute. And versus having one person that can manage that, know about it, handle it, and relieve all that time from us, it's going to be a great solution.
You made a good argument.
It's twice.
Any further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nate.
Thank you.
Administration, the proposed interlocal agreement was pulled from the agenda this evening. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, David?
No, it's not on the agenda.
Okay, we have unfinished business. Commissioner Max Bauer asked to talk about the March 12th meeting with the Board Members Dam Implementation Team that's scheduled for March 12th at 7 p.m., I believe.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to invite County Road Commissioners to join us at that meeting for a number of reasons. I have not made it any secret to any of the road commissioners that I am looking for a partnership in funding for the bridge, the road that goes across the bridge. We have, for new commissioners, we have partnered with the Road Commission on a number of occasions with county funds. Millions of dollars of general fund dollars to help support the Road Commission when they did not have funds. I have viewed our relationship with County Road as a partnership ever since I was on this board. I still view it as a partnership, and therefore, I would like to invite, as we take a look at a report regarding the dams, I would like to invite the road commissioners to join us that evening. And I would certainly like to hear your thoughts.
My thoughts are very simple. It's a public open meeting, and I would think that because of the fact we're talking specifically about a section of Cass Road, that I would think the Road Commission would want to be an active participant in that discussion. Jim is here tonight, and members of the Road Commission are here tonight. I guess at this time, would you like to make comment in that regard, or?
I'd like them at the table with us so that they can ask questions, so we're all on the same page.
Yeah, and I think the implementation team would like to educate both boards at the same time.
Yeah, there's no reason to repeat the presentation, there's no question. So it probably is beneficial.
Jim Cook, Grand Traverse County Road Commission. Yeah, I've actually reached out to our board, and all but one is available to attend the March 12th meeting. So we were just waiting to hear if you wanted this to be a joint meeting or how you wanted to handle it. So we're ready to be there.
Okay. So do we need formal action for that, or?
I would think that we could just ask our administrator to send a letter of invitation to join us and make sure that the county
We've been talking about it
clerk
already. I talked to Jim
publishes it
A
appropriately.
couple days ago.
It just needs to be noticed appropriately.
Yeah.
Thank
Our meeting has been noticed, and I would guess the Road Commission will need to notice their meeting at the same time,
Wonderful.
and then we should be fine.
Good,
Okay.
We'll take care of it.
Thank
See you then.
thank you.
Okay. My agenda went to sleep. Okay, That takes care of our unfinished business. We have no new business. This brings us to the second opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone wishing to make public comment this evening? Glenn?
Good evening. Glenn Lyle, East Bay Township Supervisor. I just wanted to comment on the CPO contract. We've had, I think, 2 or 3 meetings with the townships. Surprisingly, it went excellent. Everybody shows up, everybody participates. We're down to waiting, I think, for 2 local units to take it in front of their board. One was over in the village of Kingsley, Paradise Township, and Mayfield all share. Well, Paradise wanted to run it past her lawyer. They plan on having it next week, and I think the other one will be next week. And then we will present them to Mr. Benda and go from there. Any questions? Public comment, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to make public comment at this time? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Commissioner committee reports. Chris?
I'm going to touch upon the Commission on Aging Board meeting once again. During our Commission on Aging Board meeting, the county clerk let us know that the presidential primary, where the Commission on Aging Board would like to put a millage request on the ballot, is scheduled, I believe, in March of next year, which means that the Commission on Aging Board needs to have a meeting with this board to hear what this board's view is regarding a millage request as quickly as possible, so that we can ask the prosecutor to review ballot language. We can get a committee together that will not be a part of government, a group of supporters that want to support the millage and the good work that it does do. So I would like a joint meeting, and quite honestly, I think the easiest way, and I've been thinking about this since Tuesday, I think the easiest way would just be to try to schedule a special meeting maybe a half an hour before one of our regular meetings. So what do you all think?
Comments, questions? I guess we'd have to talk about when and what day, so.
I mean, I do hate to bring this up, but I think we have 5 Wednesdays next month. But
Oh, boy.
I personally would rather do the half hour ahead.
I would too.
That's what I was thinking. As long as we're all coming anyway,
Well, Commission on Aging would normally report to Public Health and Safety. Might I suggest that we do it before Public Health and Safety in April?
I'm more than happy to go ahead with that, if it works for everyone.
Can everybody rattle their head just up and down or
Yes.
back and forth? Okay,
Yes.
we're good. So,
Thank you all.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Better hearing stuff rattle in your head.
okay. Any other commissioners have comments or committee reports? Seeing none, we'll move forward to committees and notices and announcements. I see there's a note in here, March 11th, Community Leaders Emergency Management Workshop. Reminder to sign up. There's information in your packet for that. Greg is here if anyone had any questions in that regard.
If you haven't signed up yet, I recommend you read the whole thing first before you try to log in through there.
It's tricky.
I know, a typical guy, figured I could go ahead and do it.
Okay. We have no need for a closed session? Nope. Would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All gone. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
So, Bob, you called in one.